The Pacific update for Battlefield 5 has brought a few new weapons to the table. I've already reviewed the well-known M1 Garand, but today we'll be moving over to the Medic class. The Jungle Carbine is a weapon I'll review in the future, but today we're focusing on the Type 100 SMG. Perhaps a weapon that wasn't really needed considering how many decent SMGs we already have in the game, the Type 100 is actually quite an interesting addition and a nice one to look at visually. During the Second World War, it was pretty much the only submachine gun that was produced by Japan in any quantity. With upcoming chapter awards, we'll have the Nambu Type 2A and M3 Grease Gun to add a bit of depth to the Pacific weaponry. However, focusing on the Type 100, what can you expect? With this video, I'll try to answer a few questions. Firstly, what's the quick answer? Is the Type 100 any good? Secondly, what specializations should you be running with this weapon? And finally, how does it compare to the other SMGs in the class? So starting off, the quick answer. Yes, the Type 100 is a fairly good submachine gun in my opinion. You have to realise it's not a one weapon does all scenario, and it excels at some things whilst being quite poor at others. Overall though, it's one that you should try to level up and use. The base stats give you a 30 round 720 RPM, 420 meters per second bullet speed SMG, and within 10 meters the Type 100 is a 5-shot kill, and this then drops off pretty significantly as with all the other SMGs in the class. The main thing you'll notice is that the recoil is pretty much non-existent, and it also takes an additional bullet to kill somebody in CQB, meaning that you're going to have to use this weapon in a slightly different way in my opinion in order to get the most out of it, and in addition to that it's really important what map and areas of the map you use the weapon in. So quickly on to the second question. What specializations should you be using? The specializations do not allow for a larger magazine, higher RPM or more damage per bullet. This leaves you with a few other options in order to specialize this weapon for certain tasks, but with some other SMGs you do get better specializations in my opinion. Moving over from the Suomi to the Type 100 will be a bit of a move because you just won't have those 50 rounds, but as I'll go through in a minute, some of these specializations with the Type 100 does turn this weapon into a slightly better variant than you get with the base one. Personally, the way I like to run it is purely for close range hipfire scenarios, and to take advantage of players that don't have any close range fast firing SMGs, and hopefully they don't have a shotgun, which will probably be one of the only weapons that can beat you. This means slings and swivels for the faster deploy time, enhanced grips for the reduction in hipfire spread while moving, polished action for the decrease in hipfire accuracy penalty, allowing you to fire for longer, and finally, recoil buffer, which will reduce the vertical recoil. This is how I have recently started to set the weapon up, and for me it's really good in this configuration. Some of the footage in the background is from me trying to use the other approaches and specializations, but as I said, this is what I've settled with now. It's the best if you're trying to get the best out of the Type 100. Here's a bit of footage showing you how I set my weapon up, both with the specializations and then the customization. The final question I want to tackle is the comparison. Is it worth taking over some of the most popular SMGs in the class? My favourite weapon in the game, the ZK-383, is a very versatile and competitive weapon, providing me with a great chance to take on a player at close range before engaging with someone at medium to longer range. Some footage of it can be seen in the background. It's incredibly capable in CQB, great for back rages because you do get a decent amount of rounds but also a nice fast firing heavy damaging SMG. The bipod is a nice little extra, plus the ease of use alongside great damage output is what keeps me coming back. It's also the favourite of many other streamers and players who put in a lot of hours to the game, so I would say it's probably the strongest SMG in the Medic class. The Type 100 has to do something pretty special to knock the ZK out of my loadout, so let's compare the two. I currently run my ZK with light and stock, quick aim, light bolt and high velocity bullets. This is what I enjoy using on maps with close to medium distance engagement ranges, and it allows me to be an effective medic. The main difference to take away from the Type 100 and ZK383, if specialised as I have done them, is as follows. Nearly all SMGs have a max damage of 25 within 10 meters, but the Type 100 has a max damage of 20 within 10 meters. That's 5 less, meaning that you're going to take more bullets to get a kill with body shots on a full health enemy. At range, the Type 100 is awful, but that's the case for most SMGs, especially if they are focused on hipfire use. I'd also say that I'm using a Type 100 SMG for close range engagements on maps that are focused on close range engagements. I'm not going to use it to try and take people on at range. There are better weapons for that, even in the medic class. One thing that the Type 100 does excel at is the fire rate. With 720 rounds per minute and a 30 round magazine, you're in quite a nice position to dominate enemy players in close quarters, and on top of that you have really no recoil at all. A bit of side to side it seems, but the vertical is basically not there. With a full left side specialisation tree you can hipfire whilst moving and hardly get penalised at all. This is where the Type 100 beats the ZK, even though the ZK has that additional damage output. The initial vertical recoil and then the following vertical recoil on the Type 100 is also super low, and I think this is what will set the Type 100 apart from other SMGs in the class. For PC, I don't think vertical recoil really is an issue on any of the weapons in the game, but for console, this might give the Type 100 an edge over some of the other SMGs. You'll have to let me know in the comments. Vertical recoil is more difficult to control on console, so maybe it would be a more powerful weapon there. I guess using the Type 100 comes down to one of the most important questions when choosing a loadout. What map are you playing, and what engagement ranges will you be dealing with? Iwo Jima Breakthrough and trying to hit players at 100 meter range? Forget it, find a different weapon. In fact, I'd say go for the new jungle carbine, the M28, or maybe even the commando carbine. If not, the ZK is probably the SMG for you. If you're trench raiding or blasting through the cathedral on Devastation, sure, the Type 100 is a great choice for that, especially if it's spec'd out for hipfire. In all honesty, you can use this weapon on any map, but you'll be punished using it against anyone with a weapon that can deal damage at range, because you just will not be able to do that. So this wasn't the longest video, it's probably only taken 7 or 8 minutes to get through this, but hopefully this will help you out. If you're looking to spec out the Type 100, if it's a weapon that you were thinking about using but haven't quite made that jump yet, or maybe you're using it and you think it's terrible and you're wondering if you have it set up wrong. Remember to leave your comments down below if you've got anything interesting to say, and I'll catch you in the next video.